Welcome to Warp Zone, a podcast on sci-fi, philosophy, religion, politics, gaming, and anything else taboo.
Taboo.
We are Ben, Banasik, and
Tara Smith.
hello.
Hello.
Two academics in the world of COVIDs.
That's right. Living the dream.
Yep. Tara sounds a bit down because she's in hospital.
I am in hospital, but don't worry, I'm not actually sick. I am doing a medical trial because I need some more cash monies to fuel my, I've got a starving cat at home that needs to be fed. I've got, I got to look after him, my baby, my cat baby. And then I also, what else? Struggling. Yeah. Oh, did you see, Ben, there's been 2 more COVID cases at Lakemba, 2 GPs that had COVID.
Well, really? 2 GPs?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the doctors there. It's crazy.
He just needs to write himself a letter and excuse himself.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm day 5 on a 9-day trial. So I get out Thursday.
Yep. Wow. Now, news. So I'm delayed. I'm always delayed. But yeah,
that's true.
Delayed. So I'm delayed because I was doing an invoice, but I was delayed doing the invoice because I rescued a turtle today.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was driving Isaiah to preschool and playgroup thing.
Wait, you must have rescued a tortoise then, not a turtle, right?
I don't know.
If it was walking.
It's got a shell.
Was it on the land or in the water?
It's not like this.
I think it's a tortoise.
No, it's a turtle.
I think, please refer to it in the future as a tortoise.
No, it's turtle. It's turtle day, actually. So the daycare. So I grabbed the turtle. I stopped my car on an 80k bend. As you're driving towards Thelmere.
No, don't worry. Maybe explain to the listeners, but not me.
That's okay. No, but you've been.
No, I don't know anything.
There's like this hill area. It's really dangerous, and there's a couple of bends, and it's 80k. So I stopped on one of those bends.
Yeah.
Which was pretty dangerous, and I ran out of the car, grabbed the turtle, and then ran.
Was it trying to cross the road?
Yeah.
It's like a joke.
Yeah, it was going to totally die. Like there was no question about it. This turtle was dead.
Tortoise, yeah.
Yeah, turtle. And so I grabbed it and then had it upside down. So I'm like carrying it to the car, and then it like weed all over me. So like I had like stinky turtle weed. Like it really smells turtle weed. It's not nice.
And then what did you do?
So then I drove down the hill. So Isaiah's like family daycare, and then like I got Isaiah to knock on the door, and he got Shauna, the carer, out, and his 2 friends that were there, and we went and let it go, and we let it go around the side of her house, so which sort of like backs onto the train line and a creek behind as well. So it's actually a really good place to put it. I don't know what the fuck a turtle's doing on the top of a hill. Like it didn't make any sense why I was there. But yeah, so put it down the bottom, and she's just sent me a picture like a couple of minutes ago, and the turtle's like walked around her property in through her gate and gone to hang out with them. So the turtle's like,
do you think it was a pet, like a lost pet?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I know the guy that lives on the top of the hill, and he wouldn't have a turtle.
No, but like maybe it's from further afield. Like it sounds like it's domesticated. It doesn't sound wild, like a wild turtle.
You reckon?
Yeah. If it's like seeking out people, probably hungry, probably wants some salad snacks or something from the.
I don't know.
How big was it?
This big?
I've never seen a tortoise in Australia, like a land turtle.
What? Really?
Like I've never seen a walking turtle. No.
Okay, let's do a show and tell. I'll send.
Did you take a photo of it?
Yeah. I'll send you a picture. So there's Isaiah hanging out with the turtle.
Did it try and bite you?
No, just weed all over me.
Weed all over you.
Yeah. And then I'll send you one more photo, just for Mark's benefit of having.
Oh yeah.
Stuff that is showing.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I grabbed that. There you go. There's another photo of it going underneath the gate. So that's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. So I rescued a turtle. I couldn't not.
Oh, this looks like a pet, like a long neck turtle. This is what I was thinking, like tortoise, but I don't even think we have tortoises in Australia. This looks like it's one that lives in a river kind of turtle that should never be on land kind of turtle.
Yeah.
it must have, maybe it's creek dried up or something. Like, was there any creeks up on the hill?
No, there's no creeks. Creeks aren't on a hill. Creeks don't go from hills, do they?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, they could with an aqueduct.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah. So it's there's a creek like
You
behind
are
her
like
house.
a wildlife warrior.
I am. And look at that. There's a cat behind me as well.
I know, grooming himself.
Mm. He's not meant to be on that shelf, but you know.
I think he decides what shelf he goes in. I don't think you have any control of his shelf hopping.
But I don't actually know how he gets up to these shelves. Yeah, so that's why I was like, and then I had to do like a 10-page invoice. So yeah, that half an hour of me wasting time with the turtle. Yeah.
That's cool. And what else
Like
has been
half
going
an
on?
Well, I got an afterburner cab yesterday, which was kind of cool. Delivered.
What's
I got a
afterburn? You mean afterpay?
afterburner, like a big arcade machine.
Oh.
And I also had a Donkey Kong cab delivered to my storage.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of that on the Instagram.
So it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. How many things have you got in your storage shed now?
5, 6, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. And then one at Mark's house, one at my neighbour's house.
Yeah.
And then the rest are at the store or here at home. So I've got
Tom, I assume, didn't pick up the cab when he was there.
No, because I have to lift it up the house with him. Yeah, it's nice for you to tell him about it.
I looked back through the messages and I said it should be fine, but I need to talk to him. So it was. I wouldn't say that's been confirmed completely.
That was funny. Anyway, on the weekend we had Isaiah's birthday.
Oh yeah.
In a COVID-safe environment. And so we timed it so that we had 2 different party times, but it turns out that we had just 20 people invited anyway, like that they confirmed and said they could come. So then we're like, oh yeah, everyone can stay. But then it got like Jodie's family arrived, and then my family are like, okay, it's time to go now, and they're like leaving. It's like, what the fuck? It's very strange. People are in this, I think, mode of if there's more than 5 people around, I got to leg it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I understand for the safety of everyone, but yeah, we were doing things safely. And in relative terms, New South Wales is not bad at the moment. So
it's not, except for Lakemba. Can you imagine how quick it would spread through the families in Lakemba?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's under control. But yeah, New South Wales not too bad. Have you been keeping abreast of the New South Wales politics news and now Queensland political news?
I haven't seen Queensland, but yeah, I've seen New South Wales. I think
so funny.
Yeah. For listeners at home, what we're talking about is Gladys had a relationship with another MP. That MP is under investigation with ICAC. So our Premier then dumped him and said, fuck that. And now the media is like, I think the media is pretty desperate to put something on Gladys. Like, they're like pinning things on politicians, and it's a normal thing like any side of the field. And so they're pinning her weirdly on she should have had better judgment about who she was with, which is weird. I don't
think it's just that. I mean, like she's like, I've watched some of the footage from the grueling, and they'll be like, have you heard of like this phone? Do you remember this phone call, this meeting that he had? She's like, I don't remember that. And then they just play the same meeting. She's like, oh, now I remember that. Like, I just think it's hard to believe that she was with him for that long and hasn't got some sort of shit in the game. I think something's going to come out from it. I don't think it's just that they're trying to get her on the relationship. I think stuff's going to come out and she's going to be held.
Oh, I think it's the relationship, because he had to like not stand again, and he's tried to escape being blamed for anything. So he's a bit Weasley, yeah.
Pardon?
He's Weasley, like how he left politics, and he's trying to escape any blame, because then the purview of ICAC can't chase him because he's no longer an MP.
I think I reckon within the next few days something's going to come up and Gladys is going to get in trouble, and it's not just going to be the relationships. There's definitely going to be dirt there for sure.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, and I honestly,
I know you like Gladys, but I'm like I don't think she's very good at all.
I don't. Well, she's very popular. Like,
Yeah.
The polls say that she's very popular.
This isn't good for her reputation though either. Like people aren't very forgiving, especially for women that unfortunately, like it's often out of proportion, but women don't, like when they have affairs like this. Like, do you remember when Julia had that affair with that guy? Julia Gillard had it with what's his face? It was just like
Matheson.
mm.
So that was the same thing. Like I don't think it's right for anyone to judge who they're in a relationship with. Like it's not,
unless you're benefiting them though, right? And you're making deals that benefit them, and they have corruption deals.
Okay, but all right. So Gay Brodman is a Canberra-based MP, and she is with Chris Uhlmann, and long time has been with him. So he's a reporter on ABC, and was ABC. I think he's now 9 or something. So he would get access to interviews and stuff. She was a high-ranking Labor MP. Now, her position was always limited. She would never get any higher than junior cabinet minister because she was in a relationship with a journalist. And he was getting all of this extra access because he's in a relationship with her. It's not right.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And then now what's happening in Queensland is that the opposition have been doing all these fundraisers, but calling them not fundraisers, and then people are donating thousands of dollars, and they just donated. Like I don't understand. Like every time they donate $1,000. So I just think there should be.
I love how there's legal limits, say $5,000 for a corporation. So but it's okay because that corporation just donated $4,900 20 times. That's okay.
No, exactly.
That's such cool. And that's a very LNP thing to do. I mean, Labor Party, they push money through unions. So a corporation can give money to a union legally, it's fine. And then the union can then give money to the Labor Party untracked. So all of this money. Liberal Party does things a bit differently. So it does the, up to the limits, but then multiple times. Both political parties are really, really obviously in error for this. And I think this is where Get Up originally actually got a lot of following before it then gave lots of money to the Labor Party. They were doing election funding trackers. And I know the Greens have taken over a lot of that stuff, like actually funding, like trying to find out where money's coming from and trying to track that along. But it's very difficult when you try and chase Ponzi schemes or tax dodging ways and tracing money going through, developing nations or corporations and that sort of stuff.
No, definitely. Hard. And I think the Greens have tried to put forth a bill last year to get more anti-corruption, like a proper review done, and they wouldn't even let the MPs vote on it. So they've been very strict at like keeping it low. And not even all states do ICAC, right? I think only a few states.
So it's a state-based thing. So it was done in New South Wales, and when they did put it in, the Premier at the time actually fell on his sword and was in an ICAC hearing and then had to resign.
Oh, really? The guy that brought it in? How ironic.
Yeah. So, but it was for the benefit of everyone. So, and then the Labor Party sought to claw back some of the funding. Liberal came in and actually increased the funding, and then again Barry O'Farrell was with the bottles of wine, and then fell on his sword, even though he increased funding to ICAC, and Gladys has upheld that funding, so that's fine. What the Greens are trying to push for is a federal ICAC. And I agree.
I think it would be a good idea. Yeah. And then what else was I going to say about that? Oh, also that they're trying to put through also about to do with water, like declaring your interest with water as well. I think Helen something, the Shooters and Fishers MP, tried to put that through, and Gladys knocked it back, saying the politicians should be trusted to declare. It's just bullshit. Like no one trusts politicians anyway, and they should be held responsible. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Australian politics.
No. I will say though, with all of that, like the reporting in Australia is actually quite good. Even like federally, it's actually higher than what it is that we're going to be talking about, which is the US.
Oh yeah. Oh, America's just a clusterfuck.
Yeah, well, you would never have a politician elected in Australia that hasn't done their tax returns for 10 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Yet we have Trump.
I know.
So,
What
yeah.
was I going to say just before then?
I don't understand the optional thing
Yeah.
of doing your taxes in America.
I don't understand
I
anything about America.
well, I understand, like, so it's optional for you to declare your taxes. That's
Yeah.
fine. As a politician, they make decisions, and Trump's decision is not to make any of his tax returns public. But they can make decisions not to do their tax, and there's certain guidelines for that. Where in Australia, it's a pretty hard deadline. Like October, you have to do your tax, and then you get sent a reminder, and then you
Yeah.
get a mark on your name if you haven't done your tax. It's strange.
I don't know. I find the whole taxing thing strange. It's like people change what they feel about taxes the richer they get, and then they seem to pay less and less anyway. Like it's just weird.
Proportionately,
Yeah,
yes.
because it
But they
should
might
be.
pay dollar-wise more, but yes,
Yeah,
proportionally.
but did you see the cuts that have just come through, the tax cuts? And I looked at
Yeah,
the brackets, and it's like we get maybe 1,000 if you're earning like the mid-range, but people that are large range are getting like 6,000 cut.
that's
It's
right,
just
because they're
it's just bullshit.
proportionately paying more tax. So um, it's proportionately less than them. So it makes little difference to someone who is on low income earner, but it can make quite a big difference for someone who is on $20 million who gets a saving of $50,000.
Yeah.
Because you can do more with 50K than you can with $300.
I don't know. I think that the rich need to be taxed at a higher bracket, and corporations need to be taxed more.
Yeah.
No, it's not a popular thing to do, is it? People don't like taxes.
No, they don't. I don't believe in double taxing, which a lot of the left policies are, because they see it. The rich should get this, and then the corporations should get this. I think that there should be subsidies for businesses that pay tax for their employees, and that's a way for actually the whole end game of getting money into the economy is to try and get it into low income earners' pockets, and then they can spend more money. Yeah. If as a business owner I can employ more people but pay less tax, if I get that incentive of employing more people, that would be a good thing, because then more people are getting paid, more people are putting money into the economy, and it stimulates growth.
It makes sense.
Most economists actually recommend. Whereas neoliberalism, or the Liberal Party in general in Australia, just wants to give tax benefits for larger corporations. So the people that I pay rent to, rather than small businesses like me, they don't want to give the actual.
Also, though, what I reckon would happen with some businesses is they just wouldn't employ people on and just keep hoarding the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that can happen, but is it better than to give Clive Palmer a tax relief,
No,
or Lend-Lease a tax relief, or whatever?
definitely not.
I think that there would be some people that hoard that money, but I think that there would be a net benefit rather than a net loss. And I don't think that there's any benefit at all. The trickle-down economics just doesn't work.
Clearly it's not working, right?
Yeah.
So did you watch the last episode? I watched it last night.
I haven't watched yesterday's episode,
okay.
But I'm pretty up to date with American politics. So to introduce today's subject, we're going to be returning again to election 2020, Battle of the Trump second, return of the Trump.
Trumpinator.
Yeah. So we're going to just give an overview of where politics is up to at the moment. This episode will be released today, so it's the 13th of October 2020 in Australia. And we've been watching The Circus. So it's a show which is on Stan, and it's what is it? Is it Bloomberg or it's TMC in America?
I'm not sure.
Might be TMC. Anyway, it's called The Circus, and it follows the greatest race ever, which is the presidential races. And I watched it 4 years ago with the Bernie election #1, where he was robbed and Hillary got it, and then it follows basically candidates. There's a number of different advisors to political parties and campaigns that have weekly get-togethers now via phone. It used to be in person. And then they're all over the country and they're following different aspects of the campaign.
And it's up to its 5th season. So we've watched season 5, episode 1 to, I think about 18 or something.
Yeah. And I said for Tara to binge it and it will be good. And I think you were hesitant at first.
Yeah, because because earlier that week I'd actually watched the first episode of the first season, not realizing that it was like up to date, and I was kind of like, it felt like so long ago. I was like, I don't really understand. Then I gave up, and then you mentioned it, and I was like, I didn't really want to watch it. I'm not interested. And then you like watched the later season, and thinking I had to watch them, and I really liked it.
2 days later, you're like, yep, up to date.
Yeah, didn't take me long.
Yeah.
Because it was like stuff that I'd remembered, because it was only, I think it starts in like March, and so I was on maybe February or even earlier, but I was like kind of like,
it starts late last year, and then and then you sent me a message about February one's hilarious. So with the stuff up of the polls, the stuff up of the Democrats, and there's that comment by one of them like, oh yeah, this can't get any worse than this.
Yeah.
Tara sends me a message and goes, just wait.
Yeah, it was funny watching it in hindsight, and then watching it as it gets worse and worse with COVID. You start to see them wear masks. They're kind of a little bit nervous. Then it's like everyone's wearing masks and they're socially distancing. And it just gets worse and worse.
And then the episodes stop for like a month and a half, because then there's no filming at all, because everyone's in lockdown.
I didn't even realize that. I felt like that was a big jump. Like we missed a bit. Probably makes sense.
All of April, I think. I think there was one episode during April, but it skips for a while and then sort of up.
So the show focused around 3 main people, and I believe there was another person in the first season who got taken off the team because of sexual harassment allegations. I don't know that person's name, but there was another host in the beginning, in season 1. I think his name's I can't remember. Anyway, but the 3 that we watched John Hellerman, who's the bald guy in there, Mark D. McCannon, or MCAT, and then Alex Wagner. So they're the 3 hosts.
The main, so Alex was involved with the Democrats and a lot of the independent campaigns, I think.
Mm-hmm. And there's another lady I've forgotten. I didn't get her name, the blonde lady.
Yeah, and she was the key advisor to Hillary's campaign. And then we've got the dude in the cowboy hat. He's actually good friends with the Bushes. And that's
MCAT.
MCAT. He's actually, I think he's my favorite out of the lot.
Yeah, I like him
too.
His
politics, but he's quite open to everyone and just interested in them being involved, and he likes the race. Whereas the others sort of bring politics a little bit into it, which I think is welcomed, like as a politics show.
Yeah.
But yeah, MCAT's, the access that he gets is phenomenal.
And he's such a character. He wears a big cowboy hat, and he has he had an accident. What did he say he was doing? Something really random.
His skateboard.
He was skateboarding, something even more wild than that. And I was like, he's snowboarding or some crazy accident, and then he's limping around with a little cane and
very. And he wears a mask. His mask is a tailored big handkerchief mask around his face. Very southern, and it's pretty warm. And
it's a really good show if you're not that interested in American politics. I've always been kind of interested but don't really understand it, and so it goes through it kind of slowly, and I got to understand it a bit more. So I definitely recommend it for people that haven't seen it already.
Jodie actually likes it as well, and she's not really into politics as much as she'll watch elections with me and just likes the aspect of who's winning and who's losing, that contest, but doesn't actually quite understand the dispersal of votes and those things. So I'll watch European elections as election results are announced, so like we do in Australia. We watch Anthony Green. So there are other people around the world that do the same thing, and I'll watch American and European stuff, and I find it quite fun to watch that stuff. Brexit was amazing. That was an amazing day. When I watched that.
I'm watching the cat.
The cat. See, it's not meant to be on that shelf. It's not going to get stuck, and then it's going to meow. One of the cats actually came out of here stressed last week, and we think it was it was Pitta, the non-smart one.
They're both super stupid.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb. And yeah, so Pitta, I think, got stuck on one of the shelves, and instead of jumping down, or it's a cat, it can jump from bloody anything and not get hurt. We think it just stayed up there. It was like, oh yeah, this is my lot in life. I'm on a shelf now. I'm a shelf cat. Oh well.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Jodie likes it as well, which is a testament to how it's an exciting show to watch. Like, there's
it is, and it's only like they're only like 28-minute episodes too, so like it's like really easy to watch. So yeah, the series sort of starts leading up towards the Democratic primaries and sort of looks at a few different candidates. So I didn't even know that Bloomberg was in the race, and he came in like left of field. Like, who the fuck is Bloomberg?
Yeah, Bloomberg. So so he was a mayor at some point, and very rich, very, very rich. And they tear him apart because they see him just as Trump. Like, they rip him to shreds. But he, as I was watching it back in the day, I was listening as well to Anderson Cooper 360, which is a podcast of a show which is on CNN. So it's a daily show that Cooper interviews people, and Cooper's quite a cool guy. He rips into people as well, which is quite good to see. Like, he doesn't put up with lies just being portrayed to him. So he's seen as a very hard journalist who interviews very strongly, and in the middle of the field as well, sort of like a Ray Martin style character, like from back in the day.
He seemed quite left when I just listened to like the 5 minutes of the first episode. I couldn't really get into it because I felt like I was meant to be watching it on TV. But
he's very anti-Trump. Like,
I felt that.
Not like a lot. So he's not in favor of the Democrats because he slams the Democrats often as well.
It feels like everyone can relate to hating Trump
at the moment, like, because just the bullshit. And he's got this regular thing of keeping them honest, and he'll like get snippet of what the campaign has said, or what chief of staff has said, and said, well, actually, and then displays the truth, and just tries to actually get down to the actual issue, and then display, well, this is why we know that they're lying on this basis. So it's not an opinion; it's on the basis of fact. But yeah, Cooper, his episodes actually have ads on them, because podcasts need to be paid for and have hosting and all of those sort of things.
Ours doesn't, because we've only got like 12 listeners.
That's right. Yeah, so we've got lots of listeners. Actually, we got a few hundred on some of the episodes. Anyway, so Bloomberg had like ads on every episode, like 2 or 3 of them. It would cost so much money, and it was just everywhere, all over TV and everything, saying, I'm Bloomberg. We have to bring people together. This is how we're going to do it.
Oh shit! And it's funny though, because he came in quite late. So I remember the first debate, he wasn't there, and then suddenly
give a shit about Iowa. He did not care about the delegate, and that's true. Statistically, you don't need Iowa because you need to chase the amount of delegates. But he thought that he could get momentum on Super Tuesday, which is when all of these states all vote at the same time. Turns out no one really liked Bloomberg. So he wasted all of this money and then stuck in the race for a little bit longer until it was clear that...
and then he got kind of like teary when he was doing sort of like leaving speech. It's just like, I was like, yeah, right. But he could have been... Biden, but his debate style was awful, right? He just couldn't stand up. His public speaking was bad, and that really makes a difference, I think, like whether you can be a viable candidate.
He's good one-on-one, and he's good doing a town hall speech, bringing people together along, and quite a charismatic speaker that way. But in a field of a lot of people where you've got Bernie, who's very based on the facts and right there, and then you had Kamala Harris that was willing to just rip people apart.
And also, what's her face? She was the one that did the like deafening blow. What was the other lady's name? Not Amy. What's her face? It was another lady.
Klobuchar.
What was the tallish, kind of skinny lady that was quite popular? Oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten her name.
I'll bring up the list. So
I'm sorry, there's been like 17 episodes, and this was like episode 2. So, She was like really pro-feminist,
Oh,
older lady.
you're talking about Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
She delivered the death blow to him
She's
because he.
tall. Is
Oh,
she?
I don't know. She's kind of lanky looking to me, but
Oh.
I've never met her in person.
Actually, she's probably tall next to Bloomberg. Bloomberg's tiny.
But they'd asked him a question. She had information about sexual harassment cases
Oh
against
yeah,
Bloomberg,
yeah. She
and
was
it was
not fucking
during
happy.
the debate, and
Yeah,
she was just like, asking me about it, and he said something really slimy like, "Oh, I always have the interests of my workers," and it just did not fly well. You could tell everyone in the audience was just like vomiting. All the women were like, like it
yeah,
just, but it
yeah.
was
And
like,
the whole thing was on the basis of, can the Democrats have someone that is just as bad as Trump, who said the grotesque things in
yeah,
that truck
hmm
bus thing that he was, about grabbing women and such. And that's fair enough.
exactly. Yeah, so that was sort of, he then kind of, came and left, despite all the money he threw in it, because Ben, are there no limits to how much donations and things they can spend on the campaign?
It has to just be declared. So
It
yes,
could be billions of dollars from donations,
yeah. Well, same as Australia, but
but
there's
there's limits, right?
in New South Wales politics there are, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, so it depends, and depends on which state you're in, and depends federally, and depends on how much it is. So it is. So to take the Labor Party example, the Labor Party can take as much donations from whatever union they like,
right.
and then the unions can spend money on elections too, which they do,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
to make things look even. Because
But it
then,
seems like at a different level in America, though, like the amount of like donations and stuff.
well, this is on a very personal level. So you have um, during the primaries of selecting the candidate, even you have all this money being fundraised by all of the candidates. So they're displaying how much money they can gain, and that will give them the big mo, which is the big momentum.
Yeah.
So once they've got a lot of money and they're spending money on ads and everything, and then people are voting for them, and then you have the selection process. So local people in states will vote. There will be certain percentages you have to match, and then you'll have delegates which are pledged, and the pledged delegates will be over the certain count. So Biden, as of today, has 2,687 delegates, whereas Sanders has 1,073. Warren still has 63 delegates, even
But
though
haven't
she's
they
out of
left the
the race.
race?
Yeah, she has left the race, but that's how many she achieved, and then pledges those delegates to someone else.
Oh,
So
but isn't Sanders out of the race as well?
yeah, well, that's how many he ended on.
Oh,
So
I see. And then
that's
he's
as of,
obviously giving them to Biden, right?
well, at the convention, he doesn't have enough to garnish the support, so he endorses Biden. So then those delegates will then dropping out of the race. They have no availability to vote for him, so they either vote for Biden, but it doesn't actually matter because Biden has enough.
Oh, so
He has
Biden's already won.
he has
So that
50%
doesn't
plus
really
one.
matter.
Yeah, so once you achieve the 50% plus one, you achieve the delegate count,
Yeah.
and that matches the election process as well. Now, the reason why you're getting delegates in these certain percentages based upon states is stopping larger states such as New York or California having rule over the entire country based upon their populations. So
Yeah.
there are certain percentage guidelines that you actually match, and that's a similar thing to Australia, and that's why in Tasmania you've got so many politicians compared to what the population basis is.
Yeah.
There's one time I heard what the process was for voting for upper house people for the Liberal Party in Tasmania. You
Mhm.
needed 13 people.
Really?
Yeah, 13 people to get votes for your Senate position. So it's almost like you move your family down there and then you can take over the party if you got accepted into the
That's
branches.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other interesting thing though about the Democratic and them electing Biden is Biden really looked like like weeks before he looked like he was going to drop out, and he was actually looking like the worst choice, like really
Yeah.
low popularity. But then he just went, rose up from the ashes like a phoenix.
Yeah, well, I think that they were hoping that Buttigieg or someone like that could actually take take it because he was more moderate than Warren. And then the hope was that Warren would actually get enough of the vote from Sanders. So then you would have a Buttigieg Warren, battle.
Yeah.
And then probably it would fall to Buttigieg being the lead candidate and Warren being the deputy.
But the issue probably was that Buttigieg wasn't getting as much traction with the African American community, right?
That's true, yeah. And also, like, he's not even 40, so he's 30. He was 37 at the time. He's now 38, and he also looks like he's 12. So,
so you think Americans really like really ancient presidents?
No, I think when you've got someone that's going against Trump who has all of this experience, whether it's good experience or not, it's not like, but he's got all of these years of experience. There's a big divide between the two.
Definitely, and I think the Democratic people, they just at some point were like, we don't want let's not try and vote someone that's going to be super great and liberal. Let's just try and vote someone that can beat Trump, and that's all they care about at this stage, it seems.
Yes.
Do you think?
Yeah. Well, they're wanting to go for the safest option. And they don't want to risk it, which, I can get.
And you can see why Biden is that choice. I mean, he's pretty much like Trump light, but I mean a lot lighter. But
Now with the age thing, I will just say that if you look in the past in Australian politics, where you had this battle between John Howard and Mark Latham. So Simon Crean was the previous leader. Didn't really fly well with the community, so they choose Latham, a guy that says what he thinks, quite charismatic but very young. And then there's a handshake moment between him and John Howard, and Latham really gets up in his face, and Latham becomes really aggressive. The public didn't like that because you're picking on an old dude. That's not cool. So that's what the Dems, I think, are trying to avoid with having someone with too much of an age difference between Trump, because then it would seem as, this is just a young leftist dude that, this is exactly what's wrong with the left. They're not listening, and they're not listening to you, the voters at home. So you galvanize support with the older population who are more likely to vote.
Definitely. They also need someone that could really take Trump's really intense attacks and stuff and his party on you, because they're very personal. And you can see in the debate between Biden and Trump, and we're skipping a bit ahead though, that he goes after, he mentions his son that has died, and really goes for the jugular with his family, with Biden's family. So you can tell that, I mean, obviously Trump plays very dirty. So if you had someone like Buttigieg instead, he might just not have been able to take it as well as Biden. And Biden has the experience of being with Obama as vice president, so that he has that kind of institutional experience.
Yeah, he also knows who's who in the zoo. He's been around for a long time. So he can talk about politics, and that can be seen as a positive and a negative. But it was an interesting person. I forget who I heard say it, so I won't take claim for it. But they said that it could have actually been in the circus, that Biden is the type of person that was wrong with race and was wrong with sexuality and wrong on a number of occasions.
It was from the circus. I remember the episode.
But he's gone through this journey. So he's the leader for America, that he's saying, look, I was like that. I understand where you're coming from, and we can get through this together. We can go through this journey. And I think that actually makes sense. That's why I think the establishment is behind him. Now, the establishment was never going to go behind Bernie. They hate him. They think that
evidently.
They think that he wants to change the party fundamentally, and he does. So they protected their interests and voted for someone who is part of the establishment. Whether that's going to be good or not, I'm not sure, but they fucked it up last time, and we got Trump, last time. So it's a big call.
I think this is a safer bet than Hillary, though, because I also think people don't really like women presidents.
I don't think it has to do with women, because Warren was galvanizing a lot of support. And if you look at Kamala Harris, the amount of respect that she's got is actually quite high. AOC has a lot of respect as well amongst the left.
But I think they're
Hillary,
trying to get those people maybe in the middle though, that like maybe would have voted Dems, but they didn't really like a woman, you know, because they're trying to obviously get some more like kind of.
Harris is liked, but the Hillary's campaign claim is, yeah, people just don't like women, but they are coming behind Kamala Harris, which is interesting. So I think it's more that they just don't like Hillary Clinton. She
Yeah.
made so many compromises and stood for really nothing in the end of things, and that's not respected.
Yeah.
It's just not. And she because of the positions that she's been in previously, and her experience in the field, she was the most experienced candidate that was on that stage at that time. She was not well liked because of that, because she seems slimy. She seems like part of the
She's also
establishment.
been debating since she was like 5 years old as well. She's a very, very good public speaker. So
Absolutely,
I think
yeah.
people also maybe found that like part of why they didn't like her.
Part of, yes, but I think it's deeper than that, and I think it has to go with. And I don't know if I said this last time we spoke about the election, but I understand why someone would vote Trump if they lived in Michigan today. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it, because you're a blue collar worker. You've voted Democrat your whole life. Your governor and all of your representatives are safe Democrats, right? So it's been Democrat for a long time. You're out of work. Healthcare costs are rising, and school costs are rising. Then you've got someone who's going, yeah, let's do this. Let's vote for me because this is going to be good. Now, I voted for Obama because he said change, but nothing actually changed in regard to my job and my perspective of my life. Then you
They
have
felt like they feel left behind, like that
absolutely, yeah,
they're
the
not getting
forgotten
included.
Australians. This is Howard's forgotten Australians. This is how he got support from Labor
Yeah.
Party voters. So then you've got, and now Howard was the gentle approach. I'm not very charismatic. Yeah, I'm the little guy that listens to you, and let's go to this together. You won't be forgotten.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, Ben, because they're not being represented. They don't feel like they're the left. They're not a minority. They're not like women. They're not low income earners that maybe in Australia would get the dole. But neither are they the super rich getting tax cuts,
Yeah.
being in the club. And so
Well, they are women. So
they are women.
statistically, there's more women in that sector of votes than there are. Now, what happens then is a voter who's sitting there going, okay, I've got my kids that need to go to school. I've got to pay for all this stuff. I can't do it. I could vote for Hillary. I could vote for someone who is being represented with the establishment all the time. Or, alternatively, there is this fat, orange-haired, weird dude in the corner that was running this TV show, yelling at everyone, saying, I'm going to drain the swamp. He's mad, but he's saying that he's going to change things for me. And that's what I'll take a punt on.
And also they just like the assurance that Trump gives, like Trump just provides, he's like, I'll get it done. Like he lives in this new reality that where everything is already finished, and it's already done, and it's the best country already. And so they wanted optimism, like they needed an optimistic thing rather than the Democrats going, we need more taxes. You know what I mean? Like, we need better social care and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, we have to change this part of legislation.
Yeah.
Whereas Trump gets out and goes, no, lock them up. That's his statement. Yeah, lock them up. We'll build a wall. We'll blame this person. Yeah, we'll do this. Like, it's all these throwaway statements.
Yeah,
whereas,
it's like I'm fine with COVID. COVID is fine. Yeah. I beat COVID.
Whereas Hillary, being quite bookish, was arguing in the periphery of what she was going to be doing, and her advisors were incredibly arrogant, measuring up like the office space for furniture, basically, thinking that everything is a foregone conclusion and she's going to be elected. Like, so at the time I was working for a charity, and there was a lot of people that are involved in the, the broad left. So I supported, so I didn't support Hillary. Not that my support mattered, from afar, but I was involved with some online campaigning. I was definitely, supportive of Bernie.
You weren't Russian spies trying
to
with Julian Assange trying to give out information.
But I was friends with people that were for Hillary, and they were so arrogant, so arrogant about, yeah, this is going to happen. Yep, yeah, he's done. We've got it. And she's going to get it. I'm doing it for her. Let's do it for her. It doesn't actually make sense. Like, do it for her was their statement. That was their campaign signs that they had at rallies.
Oh, really? So it was all like a Hillary personality.
Yeah.
They made it into a personality cult, and
Yeah.
Trump's the winner of the personality cult.
Absolutely, yeah, because there's nothing there with Hillary. There's nothing. So I get it. I get it. That she did not speak to voters. Now, if you look at Biden's Twitter feed now, it's very different. He's not taking anything for granted. It's
and because he also says in one of his like kind of catchphrases is that he wasn't going to go into, he just had no dreams of being president, but he thought for Trump he had to do it. This was the only reason he became wants to be president. So I think that's a really it's really humble. It's really it's like a calling. It's like noble, where it seems like a really different tactic to what Hillary had employed.
Yeah, she was dreaming for the moment of measuring the office space when she was 5 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And people felt yucky about that.
Yeah,
and probably rightfully so. But whether I'd choose Trump over Hillary, never.
Well, yeah. It depends if you want an autocrat or if you want a dictator. Those are the two choices. Like, an autocrat is not a good idea, but when you're faced with the alternative of having someone who is, on the edge of
insanity,
ideology at worst, and at best insanity, it's not great.
And also the COVID-19 for Trump, because it was quite interesting. I didn't even realize that before COVID in America, Trump was doing really well on the polls. The economy was doing, apparently, he's doing quite well on the polls. The economy was quite good. Job employment was quite good. He was actually in a pretty strong position. And then COVID happened, and they obviously they handled it awfully. And Trump's popularity has just gone skyrocket. And instead of wrestling, and the latest episode, Ben, which you haven't seen yet, they in the circus they sort of interview somebody who looks at past disasters that have happened, and I can't remember what disaster they look at in American politics, a few politicians ago, and I can't remember exactly the details, but they were saying that the approval rating during this sort of crisis went up and up for the politician, he made it successful. So instead of a natural disaster, they got together, they had shots of them all working together. But with Trump, he didn't do that. He missed that opportunity to kind of try and look like they're working together with COVID and working with countries. He didn't do that. He could have this could have helped his campaign, but instead it's been so awful for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I think that was an interesting point. The other thing that surprised me too is just Biden's support in the Black community in America. I didn't know that he had so much support, because when they go to, which state do they go to?
Well, it goes to Super Tuesday, so it goes to the southern states, and he gets all the
support. But a big support in that community, which I didn't realize. And he apparently goes there every year to some of these states, and really is not just a tokenistic. It's not. I thought it was just because he worked for Obama. It's no, he actually spends time there, and he's invested.
Because he was with Obama. He was chosen because he was an old establishment white dude by Obama. Because it was a risk to have Obama as a candidate, because he's named Obama. Barack is his first name. That's not seen as white middle America, and they were afraid of losing. So to stop that, they chose someone, vice president, who is the polar opposite of Barack Obama, and that's Joe Biden. The American Joe, the guy that's been around in
Sleepy
Washington.
Joe.
Yeah.
As Trump calls him.
So he's been around for generations in America, and in American politics, and everyone knows him, and he's seen as a gentle approach. So in doing so, they get rid of some of the risk. Now, Joe, much to his credit, tries to understand the other. and tries to go across to the other side. And also in Black America, they still see Obama as their president, and that galvanizing moment and that change. And yes, he was welcomed. They love Michelle, his wife. The
Yeah.
family was actually really well respected and liked across the field. And Hillary just did not have that support.
Yeah, but
So,
I mean, but even though like I just don't you think that was kind of surprising because Bernie doesn't get that level of support in those
no,
communities.
and Bernie's policies are actually better, but Joe, they know.
Yeah.
Now, if you had a field between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie, Bernie was getting more support than Warren. The worst thing that could happen for Bernie's campaign is if Joe Biden would run, because he would galvanize all of that support, which he did. He still had that support from the Obamas. It wasn't the support across the Midlands and also the Rust Belt, but how the Democratic field works and the steps of the primaries is once you get the momentum in the early states, then there is a potential of garnishing that support.
Yeah, because people are thinking, oh, well, if they're, and then when people start resigning, they get more support from those people, and it makes it look like that's the candidate. So why would we vote for anyone else?
The southern states start voting for Biden, and that leaves some of the middle states going, oh, if he's getting that support there, maybe Bernie won't get that support in larger states like, New York, etc. So we better support Biden. So that increases Biden's votes. And then that's what creates the snowball of the big momentum.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, though, that what's interesting with Trump, too, is that like the way he's tried to look untouchable, right? That's his whole kind of premise, is that he's this big untouchable person, nothing affects him, the Ubermensch. And then he has COVID. Like, there couldn't be a worse way to crumple down.
Well, you read his tweet, though? It has got a warning on it from Twitter, actually, that, he is possibly immune. So I'll read it for the benefit of, I don't know, the comedy of the
read it out.
God. Oh, geez, he's been busy. I haven't looked at it today, but
he's been tweeting a lot. Because Ben, you didn't watch the episode. The Lincoln Project.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of Republicans, Republicans against Trump. They have been sort of posing an attack at him. I think he's been commenting back. Could be that. Thought there was a bit of traction around the Lincoln Project.
Crazy. He might have deleted his tweet because it's not up.
Maybe Twitter deleted it.
I thought stock market up big.
Is that what he said?
That was one of them. Yeah, I just scrolling back and trying to find this thing, and he's retweeted so much as well. See, this is probably what he's done. He's trying to do this so that people won't point back to these old tweets. Oh, God. That's just 9 hours ago. We're going back even further. Yeah, he's retweeted a lot of older tweets, and he's retweeting photos of businesses being destroyed, saying that's the blame of
he's also seen that he doesn't want to go into the online debate with Biden. He's like, he refuses to do that.
And his chief of staff this morning was trying to speak to reporters, takes a step back and then takes off the mask, and the reporter goes, whoa, and he goes, well, I can't speak without a mask, so I'm not even going to talk to you. Puts the mask back on and walks past. Like, you've come in direct contact with someone who is probably infected.
And Trump goes straight back to the White House, and then all the workers that there are in at risk. It's just horrible. It's just so. This is what Trump does, though. He doesn't play by the rules. People expect a certain level of respect or dignity or from a president, and Trump just blindsides them because he doesn't play ball.
Yeah, absolutely. So the tweet reads, and this was on the 12th of October at 2:39 a.m. our time. A total and complete sign-off from White House doctors yesterday. That means I can't get it. Brackets, immune, and can't give it. Very nice to know. And Twitter has marked that as a violation of the Twitter rules because it's misleading and potentially harmful information about COVID-19. However, Twitter has determined that it's in the public's interest for this tweet to remain accessible.
That's so funny.
ridiculous.
It's funny too when he has his staff, kind of giving speeches about the doctors and stuff. So one, they're not giving any information, like when he was infected, who he's come into contact with, when he got tested, all this sort of stuff. So, but whenever they talk about him, they're like, he's the best patient. The doctors are like, he's such a good patient, and he had the best recovery. Like they even try and make his recovery on COVID look like he's better than everybody else.
Someone on Fox said that I would put him in the age gap of 30 to 40 because of his vigor. Like, for fuck's sake, like that's not
so funny.
You are, if you're over the age of 70, you are over the age of 70. That's the age of your heart, your lungs, and every other part of your body.
I know. Did you what did he say? Did it read that he wanted to wear like a Superman suit or something underneath his shirt? You know how he did did you read about that?
No.
So he does on that famous balcony. I forget the name. It's got like something balcony. Like I don't know if you saw it, but he like walks up to the balcony. This is after he gets back from hospital with a helicopter like choppers in, walks up to the balcony, sits at the balcony, he just stands there like all like these hands on the baluster, and then he puts his little thumbs up. Apparently when he did that moment, he wanted to, because I think this was the same balcony. Is it Reagan that got shot? Who got shot and survived?
Reagan did get shot. He didn't get shot there.
No, but he then did the same thing on the balcony. He came out on his little balcony after he'd been shot with his little hospital gown, and similar was like trying to make that like, we're still good, don't worry, it's all assured. So Trump was doing his like take on that, and he so he comes up, does his little thumbs up, but he said he wanted to wear a superhero shirt underneath and to reveal it. Isn't that insane?
It's comical. It's just absolutely comical.
People are saying that, like I was talking to someone, they were saying, oh, Trump's definitely going to get reelected. But I think there's no way in hell.
I wouldn't count your chicken.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yep. He's not doing well. Biden's beating him in the polls.
National polls, yeah.
Yeah. You still think there's a chance?
National polls don't matter.
He's also said that people have asked him in debates whether he would, like if he loses, because you know how there's all this distrust around the mail. Like he keeps saying that mail votes, like he doesn't believe it, and then they've been dismantling all the sorting. Anyway, that's another palaver. But he said basically that if he did lose, he wouldn't help do like what's the word I'm looking for, like an easy takeover.
Yeah. So
he refuses to do it.
Yeah, he's been asked a number of times, does he support a transition of power? And he said, and would he accept the election result? And his answer has been, I would accept the election result as I win. There is very dodgy things going on in regard to the polls. Now, I think that there is a very serious risk here over the next 4 weeks of, if the election is lost by the Trumps, or by the Trump, government.
Empire,
yeah. That the election result will not be accepted by his supporters.
I totally agree. And by him himself. I don't think he will accept it.
Now, what happens? Like, the military would come under, the direction of the president, and then it goes to transfer power in January. If that transfer of power is not signed across and done, there are a number of steps which take place. Where actually the Speaker of the House becomes the de facto president, but there is an election result. So I think that this is going to be dragged through every court, and every result is going to be questioned.
And recounted, all the mail ballots and stuff will get recounted again and
absolutely.
again.
And then, like, the country, it is still astounding that W. Jr., so George Bush Jr., and Al Gore, there was a miscounting of votes in Florida. And that is still felt by people, a little bit older than me. That's one state, one single state, and a small amount of votes that were miscounted, which really wouldn't have actually changed the election result anyway. Like, there's been court hearings and investigations and everything. However, there were people on the left still saying that this doesn't smell right because that result was wrong. And then Fox News came out and said, oh yeah, W's got the election. That's the way it is. Now, the pollsters and the people that were studying that election actually made the right call. However, there was some discrepancies in voting.
There's also new states voting purely by mail that have never done it before as well.
That's just two. So that doesn't actually matter because those states are going to be Dem and Republican anyway. So that actually doesn't matter at all. So that's the Trump lie, basically, because there's these 2 states that are doing this, and then there's lots of votes going out there how bad this is. What I think the problem is if, because of his rhetoric, he's questioning every vote, and you just said it there, where oh yeah, there's all these states doing this thing, and that's what he's going to keep saying over and over again.
He's not going to take it lying down, and I think there's going to be civil war, or there's going to be statewide riots. I mean, can you imagine the Proud Boys coming to the streets if he loses?
That's right. Yeah, you have neo-fascists versus neoliberalists in the streets.
Yeah.
You got
and the Black Lives Matter protesters as well.
That's right. Yeah. On top of that, there's Black Lives Matter. And then you've just got Trump's regular supporters and the Dems' regular supporters that are there.
And COVID-19 still escalating.
On top of that, yes, you've got COVID-19, and then you've got the economic crisis as well of having closed borders and not as much manufacturing taking place in the country. Manufacturing actually going down over the last 4 years rather than going up, and then the deals with China that are falling apart. Europe's just looking at this, shaking their heads. There's the climate change battle that's happening on top of all of this, and then pulling out of the Paris Accord. All of this is taking place. And
I just feel really sad. I feel sad for America. It's only going to get worse, isn't it?
And yeah, absolutely. But all of this is happening, and then you have Trump's house, and you have advisors going out there. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but in the media, basically every day for the past 2 months, there has been a little leak against Trump. A little tiny leak, and it keeps dripping and dripping and dripping against him in certain ways. Things which are being released, his tax return.
He doesn't need leaks. He just puts tweets out. He's leaking himself.
Oh, yeah. But advisors are actually speaking against him. People are actually speaking up against him, and that's his house is falling apart. So he's going into this panic zone. He's returned to the White House, having actual COVID, and there's been reporters that are saying that it's desolate there. It's people are panicking. People don't know what the fuck's going on, and who has COVID and who doesn't have COVID. It's seen as a hotspot. It had a week ago, its total infection rates inside the White House was more than Australia and New Zealand combined for that day. That was their total number of people that they found.
And they still don't have a national plan, do they?
There's still no national plan, and then they have advice saying that keep separated. But what was said in the Democratic debate?
Oh, you mean the vice president?
In the vice presidential debate, yeah, where you have Pence saying, "Well, we trust in the American public to do the right thing themselves." That's very much the liberalistic or neoliberalistic idea of the Republican Party. Now, I think he is actually smarter than Trump. He's using Trump to.
Oh yeah, he also seems like more normal than Trump. Like if he was up for election, I think Biden would be having a run for his money. But I think
Biden would be ruined against Pence. Absolutely ruined.
Yeah.
I think that he would tear him apart and would be seen like the nice guy, and that's what he is seen as. Like that's why
he was really polite. Did you see how polite he was to Kamala?
And that's how
you've done such a really good job, Kamala. All this sort of stuff. He just he came across very professional.
He's actually being sincere there. This is the crazy thing. Like he's sincere about these things. He's an incredibly sincere dude. But he's tied his flag to a mast of a crazy man, and that's why Trump chose him, because he was seen as a safe boat. And that's
have you seen all the fly memes and stuff about the fly on his head for that debate?
Oh yeah, vote fly.
It's funny that's what people are talking about. I thought Kamala came across really good, quite professional.
But I think
other people watched it and said they thought that that Pence was way better. So I don't know.
Oh look, I think I think it was a close win to him rather than her. Very close, because she worded some things, and so the grabs could actually be used against her. But I think in the end, it was a very close contest, and it showed that there are some great ideas from both vice presidents. It's a shame that we're not seeing a battle between them rather than the two old white dudes that are battling.
Definitely. That'd be a much more interesting debate. And I'm glad Kamala was chosen as the vice president. I think she'll be really good for Biden. I think she was a good choice, and that it's good that they chose a woman. It was a smart choice.
Yeah,
Um,
and also someone from the prosecution said
oh, and you also have the new court high justice, whatever it is, person as well,
yeah.
right?
So that's
Another issue.
there is going to be probably next week when the Senate is recalled to try and vote for that. Now that's really close. That's within one vote of going ahead.
So that would mean that then they have the Republicans have the majority,
Yeah,
do
but
they?
the Dems are going to extend the amount of court judges anyway, so it doesn't
When
matter.
they get in, you mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, like
Still, it's sad. What's her face? RBG passed away.
Mm.
She was a great lady.
Yeah, she was.
So I guess we'll just see what happens. But I feel really sorry for America at the moment. Like, it just seems like they're being led by a dictator from like some third world country. That's just what it feels like to me. Like, just with the handling of COVID, like it just seems like from another world. I can't imagine any past Republican president acting this poorly. And I was never a fan of Bush, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Everyone thought that Bush was a demigod, demigod.
Devil.
Yeah. Yeah. So people thought that like not senior but junior in particular was seen as an idiot, and
a buffoon.
and he's clearly not compared to.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. So you think that there's a chance that Trump could get reelected? Do you really think that?
I do. Yeah.
You think that he has enough support and he hasn't lost enough support from COVID, handling of COVID?
I think it's a numbers game on the states, which it is. That's where it could be a landslide for Biden.
And they've started voting now, right, in the polls now. So they were doing trickling.
Oh, they've already voted. Like, they've been voting for the last 3-4 weeks. Yeah,
Oh, but I mean, like, actually in person. I thought that just started recently.
Yeah. Some have opened. So again, it's different for every state. So all of the states are all over the place.
I saw a line yesterday. I can't remember which state it was, but there was huge lines for the polling booths. I hope that it makes people that didn't always vote now. Like, the people that.
Yeah, this shows why you should have compulsory voting in countries. Like the question of validity of votes and validity of being able to vote, based upon.
Do you think postage votes will increase the amount of people that might have not vote now?
Slightly, because there's more availability. But again, it's only 2 states which are doing the compulsory votes the mail-out votes for every registered voter. There's only 2 that have done that, in addition to the others that were previous. And those states don't actually matter because their results have been the same.
But I think there's going to be more people voting by post, right, in all across the nation because of COVID.
Yeah, but that's happened every election for the last 20 years. There's been an increase of early voting. It's happened in Australia, and we didn't have COVID last year.
Yeah,
like there's been that increase. So the argument of either the left and the right saying that this is going to be a galvanizing thing and
good or bad, think it'll make a difference.
No. I think that the momentum's been there for early voting. What it does make a difference with, though, is the big zinger of the last election week. Because previously, I don't know if you remember, but early 2000s and prior, campaigns would actually officially launch their election campaign a week into pre-poll, because not many people had voted pre-poll by that point. So you'd have people going out onto stage. Even Rudd did it in his first election, and said that this spending has to stop. And that was, lauded by the Labor Party. It was an amazing statement actually to make on the last week of a campaign. And then you had Howard making all these announcements the day before, and also on the weekend you have all of the party faithful gathering together. Now, if 30% of the electorate has voted already by that point, is there a reason to actually hold that side of thing, or should you hold that earlier? And should you have your policies all out earlier? And that's a very British thing to do, to have your printed manifesto. This is my manifesto. This is what my party stands for. And if you vote for me, this is exactly what we're going to do. Very, very British thing to do. Not really done in other countries, which is weird, I think. For my own personal campaign, when I was running, I tried to push early voting, pre-poll, and postal voting, and sent out to every person in all of the towns exactly what I promised to do. Elect me, this are the things that I do.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, it'd be
that
interesting.
made sense to me. Like I understand the British thing. I don't understand the last minute zinger, except if you're trying to one up the other political party. But
You think they should do it sooner?
when I ran, I ignored my opponent. Just absolutely ignored them. I thought they were useless. And they were useless, to be honest. Like the people I was running against were fucking shit. And I think that's why I got over 50% of the primary vote. So I think that, the parties really have to be more true to themselves and actually try and argue things for the people rather than focusing on the opposite. And that's the problem of the left parties. This is the problems of the Democrats, problem with the
Do you think
Labor
that's
Party.
what I think Biden, when he's doing his bunker Biden moments, like I think he was focusing more on like just kind of ignoring Trump in that sense.
Yeah, he was. But it was still we're not like him.
Oh, you think then they're not having like a good identity of what they stand for?
Yeah, it's just that we are not him, and that's not good enough. It's just not like you need to actually stand for something. Otherwise,
I think though that with Trump, it almost is enough. Is we're not Trump. It's like a pretty big like calling card.
And that's what Hillary said last time.
Yeah, you think it's not a good strategy?
It didn't work. No, it's not. It's the same strategy as last time.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Biden's doing that to the extent that she is.
Yeah.
But
you think there's a risk there?
Yeah, I think Podesta and stuff. Like I can't stand that.
I don't know. I think the nationwide hatred for Trump is a lot worse than it was when he got elected originally. I think people are a lot more against Trump. So I think a lot of people will vote just to get Trump out, even if they wouldn't have normally voted for Biden.
How many of those people actually voted last time, and how many of those?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is you got to what we have to do. What you have to do, rather, if as a Democrat, you have to convince a Trump voter not to vote Trump. Like,
yeah,
if they voted Trump,
and they're not very bright, are they? Like, I would like to hope that they'd see their family dying and things on the streets with COVID.
No, they are.
Think
they're highly educated people voting for Trump. Highly educated. They know he's a buffoon. They can see through.
And they just think COVID, they're just going to let it run rampant and kill everybody. And then hopefully, is that the theory? Like,
the theory is that the Dems don't do anything for us anyway. Why bother voting?
Because there's a pandemic that America's like the worst in the world for, that he's not handling. I just think the pandemic is... Oh, the fire alarm's about to go off.
Really?
They're testing the alarm.
Testing, okay.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. What happens if there is a fire? Like, you guys have
there is a fire. We're going to go spread out. It's just a test. Test. No, it's not real. Sorry.
There you go. We're going to leave
Can we edit this out?
No, we're not going to edit it out. It's exciting. You're going to burn down. I'll keep it recording the entire time.
I think it's done for now. Anyway, I'm going to escape and then give everybody my diseasey spinal drug. Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be very interesting to know what happens. I'm looking forward to watching it. Do you know when the voting finishes?
We have 20-something days to go.
Mm-hmm. So by the end of the year, we should hopefully know who's president, right?
Oh, see, this is the thing. That's an annoying thing for people like me that like watching these things that are quite selfish. On the 3rd of November, we're not going to know because some states can't count the postal votes.
We'll have an idea, right? Like we should have an idea.
Yes, yeah, but they won't be known directly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the key swing states, it might take some time to count the votes. It might take a week.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
That is insane.
Again, the British model, like I'm harboring on about the British, but they have this thing of election night and they open up the votes that night and they do not leave until they count all of the votes.
So and then straight away.
Yeah, well, they make announcements at 3:00 in the morning and you get the people come up and they go, oh, and this person got this and this person got this. And they're on the stage there. And then this person got this and then they make a speech. And they thank everyone and they're quite humble about it. Very different. Very, very different. Whereas here, even in Australia, you have this faux thing of, the party faithful gathering in a room and then you've got the pundits talking on the camera and people, showing the film of what's going on inside those rooms.
It's very stressful when you're in that room.
Yeah, I know.
So I was with my mum when we were last waiting for the next
Yeah.
election.
I've done it many times. Lock down the candidate so that they don't go outside of the room until they
Mm-hmm.
can go out and talk to the faithful. You Greens do the more lovey-dovey thing of all hanging out at the same time and looking at the votes, but
Mm-hmm.
from the Labor and the Liberal Party perspectives, yeah, you get locked down the candidate so that they don't say anything and they have to call the other candidate as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then it just becomes an awkward conversation there, and then you go out and make a speech, and then there's the media and they take photos and such. It's like it's a mini campaign event, almost
So
election.
if you had to, Ben, call it as a percentage now of Biden winning, what would you put it as a percentage?
It's Biden at the moment. I think it's Biden at the moment, but I think that
But like, what at the end of the day, what would you give it as a percentage?
well, you can't. So if you're going to go a percentage of votes, I think Biden has the percentage of votes. Hillary had the percentage of votes.
Right. But I mean, like a chance that you think Biden will get elected. Just you
Oh, a
personally.
chance of he's getting elected. I think it's 50-50.
Really? You think it's that bad?
Yep. Yep.
Jeez, that makes me scared.
Yep.
What would a Trump re-election look like for America?
More of the same. That's the thing.
Another whole, 4 years of riots on the street.
Well, the Black Lives Matter thing would
I don't
continue.
think the community, yeah, will be happy with it. The black community.
Yeah, I think
Police brutality would increase because they're not going to do anything differently.
well,
Instead,
but the police brutality thing is a state issue. It's not a federal issue, so that has nothing to do with Trump.
yeah, but it doesn't help when Trump's saying we should just give them all the resources they need and all that sort of stuff, like to do their job.
That's what the states are in charge of that, not the feds. So that doesn't have anything to do with Trump, really.
Mm. I think though that the rhetoric that Trump has around it is not helpful.
I don't think it is, no, and I think that the left use it to galvanize against, but I don't think it actually makes any difference at all. He's a very useful tool to galvanize support for a certain movement, but I don't think it actually matters, which is quite sad, but yeah.
Yep.
That
Anything else on the ballot you want to talk
about? No. How'd you go with trying to understand the whole? Because I know we were speaking.
I got a bit confused.
Back and forth, about the process.
I still don't really get like the delegate part. I don't really get how the Democrats chose Biden and how they decided when to give up their side of the race and how they decided who their votes were going to go to and all that sort of stuff. I know you tried to explain it to me.
So,
I'm happy to think of it as magic. If that's easier.
It's magic, and then you don't get a rabbit out of a hat; you get a Biden.
Yeah. Were you hopeful that Bernie would get it, or do you think he was never going to get it?
Oh, I thought he had it, and then COVID happened, and so he couldn't hold events. And then also the southern states went further for Biden, and so very closely he lost the momentum. It was 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He potentially would have won.
That's so sad. Do you think he'll ever run again?
Nah, he'd be 82 or something. 83.
So that was his last chance. But he's still done amazing things, though. Like I think for the campaign.
Oh yeah. So now universal healthcare is seen as an accepted thing for the Democrats, which is insane that they would not accept that as a potential thing anyway. It's just madness to me that you would have that questioned by a country.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Okay, so you look at again. Let's go to England for example, right? So you got Bojo there, so the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's a conservative. You would see him as far right, right wing. He outwardly says that the NHS is the most beautiful thing of their country and wants to fund it more and has funded it more than the Labor Party. It's seen as this pride thing for their country to fund it more. So it's a competition between Labor and the Conservatives of who can fund their NHS more. In Australia, the school system and healthcare system, the Libs actually designed it so that they could pump more money into the schools So they can give money directly to Catholics and private schools, but states don't allow them to fund schools directly. So they allow a lot of the GST proportion to go to the states so that more funding goes to those schools. The same with healthcare as well. That's why we have a federal healthcare minister, even though the hospitals are run by New South Wales Health. It's because you have all of this funding. And that's designed by the Libs and Labor Party. Right? So it's a universal thing. They argue around the periphery of a couple of $1 million, but the billions that happen, both parties are agreed on. And the Greens are agreed on, and the Independents are all agreed on. It is madness to me that a country would look at that as communism or socialism and a bad thing. That funding for healthcare and education is a bad thing. It just is insane.
I guess is it because the pharmaceutical companies just make so much fucking money in America and all that sort of stuff? Like, is that why?
That's a net benefit from. I don't know. This is a cart before the horse situation. Like, what came first? Is it the call against universal healthcare and universal education, or is it the pharmaceutical benefit? The pharmaceutical companies that benefit from that policy that came first. I don't know.
So what's their viable argument against universal healthcare? They think that
we have the right to choose.
Choose what?
Our own healthcare situation and system.
But we don't have a right to choose because the pharmaceutical companies are choosing, right? How much it is, or
yeah. Well, that's a net result of our right to choose. But we have the right to choose. So this is the madness of the ongoing circular argument.
But you can have both, Ben, right? You can have the right to choose and give everybody universal healthcare.
No, but we're Australians, and that makes sense to us to have private healthcare and a public healthcare system that works side by side.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's awful that people choose jobs based on purely whether they're going to get healthcare.
Yeah,
like it dictates people's lives almost to every aspect of it in America.
I have to stick to this job because it's got my dental scheme.
And my family's health system, so I can't quit it. I have to stay working here.
Yeah. There's a Simpsons episode where Lisa needs braces, and that's all about that. Like, Homer needs to stay in this job because Lisa needs braces.
Yeah, that's just sad. I don't know how you could have a platform on that. I just think it's so horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens. We should definitely do another pod on it after the election results is called.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it on that week. So in about 3 weeks' time, or 2 weeks' time, 2.5 weeks' time. Yeah, but next week we will look at conspiracy theories. An episode we recorded earlier that I forgot to put out. But today I'll put up this episode and see what people think of two Australians disseminating what's happening with the craziness.
Not very educated one. Well, I'm not very educated on either. I don't think we did a lot of homework for this one. But you know a fair bit in background, I guess. But it's interesting anyway, and definitely watch The Circus. I'd love to hear people if they've enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the perfect time to watch it, even if you watch just the last couple of episodes and then jump in from now. And then I recommend also Anderson Cooper's podcast, the Cooper 360. And aside from that, there are a lot of media sources that actually look at a lot of stuff. The ABC actually has got quite a lot of people on the ground. It's quite good to see a lot of dissemination of the election, which matters to everyone, really. Because it's going to affect Western policy going forward.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Fare thee well.
Bye.